Hey, welcome back to the No Money Real Estate Podcast. And what's really great about this episode is this is the yacht version of the podcast. So I'm out on the yacht today with 10 different real estate investors that we've been kind of planning to go out and have some fun and talk about real estate. Then the winds went crazy. 17 knot winds didn't allow us to go out to sea today. So we're going to sit on the yacht here and talk about real estate. And I'm on camera right now with my buddy, Felicia. Felicia is our level 2 mortgage agent who works at Cottage Dream Vacations and helps everybody get mortgages arranged. And then we've got 10 folks here that are part of our community. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about mortgages. So let's start talking about mortgages. So start off by telling me about you.
So my name is Felicia Harmon, and I'm a level 2 mortgage agent, like you just said. I've been in the mortgage game for 8 years. Used to do real estate as well, but now I realize numbers are where it's at. And I'm working with you at Cottage Dreams, and I love it so far.
Numbers are where it's at. So what you're doing with me now is we run the syndicate, which is this crazy mastermind group that's going across Canada. And we spend all of our time just doing mortgages for people in the syndicate. And there's a lot of mortgages happening right now. But what percentage do you think of the mortgages we're doing right now are private lenders?
98%.
Yeah, probably most of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And what I want to do during this conversation is really just talk about the processes and the things that people have to do to get money and what lenders are looking for. But I want to talk, first of all, about a little bit of the processes behind how we set this all up, because we have this amazing opportunity for folks. We've got a list of thousands of lenders who want to lend money, and we have rules and regulations that we have to follow before we can use those people, right? You have to do these KYC things and all of that. So what happened was we started scaling this list, this 7,000 people we have on it now. And because so many people hear what we're doing, we started pissing off mortgage brokers right across Canada. And they started criticizing what I was doing, saying, I'm not allowed to do it. I'm not a mortgage broker. What they didn't realize is I'm not making any money in that process. I decided not to, but I want to take my game to another level all the time. So I went out and found Felicia, and we cut this deal where we were going to do these together. So now I can grow the lenders list, but Felicia's the only one that deals with them. What do you have to do with each of these lenders before we can actually let them start lending money to real estate investors?
So basically, I have to pre-qualify them and make sure that they are pretty much
qualified
to lend, not only just to protect the lenders that we lend, but also for our government regulations. They have to earn a certain amount, have a certain amount of net worth. Basically, they have to be qualified to lend.
I guess a lot of people won't know this. If somebody wants to be a lender, anybody can do it. Like if they have the money to lend out a mortgage, they can do it. But there's rules that they have to follow. And there's rules, I think the government agency is FSRA, that is like the boss of all you guys.
Yeah.
And I know there's securities commissions in every province in Ontario. And those two agencies, FSRA and like the OSC in Ontario, say that if somebody's going to lend, they want those people to be at a certain level of success. And the reason, I guess, for that, my thought process is if somebody's going to be lending money and they've gotten to a certain level of success in their lives, it's more likely when they're looking at a deal, they're going to be able to tell the difference between a good deal and a bad deal.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a protection, right, that they impose. And then the other side of the coin is you as a mortgage broker, you're licensed. You have a license with FSRA, with the government. So if you don't follow the rules, you could lose your license, right?
Yes.
So what are you actually doing with each one of those lenders? I know you've since you started working with me, you've talked to hundreds of them.
Yes.
And you're doing like these organized interviews and making them sign forms and getting to know them. Walk me through what that's all about. Like, what are you doing with each of them?
So basically, with each potential lender, I'll go through a set of questions with them called a Know Your Client. Basically, I'll ask them what their current income is, what their net worth is. We'll go through some qualifying questions, basically asking them what they're comfortable assuming on a risk, a mortgage.
So you explain what risk is and like how detailed risk is, and then how comfortable are they?
Yeah, their knowledge about private lending, their knowledge about the risks that are involved with private lending. And then given their answers, that kind of gives me a mental note of if this is a qualified lender or not. Also, if they are qualified, I have to follow FSRA rules, obviously, and make sure that they answer certain questions the right way. So yeah, they have to know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, what I like about the way this is set up is it's not even a situation where you get to decide, where you have an opinion. It's black and white. If they have these qualifications, they can be lenders. If they don't have these qualifications, you can't take money from them, right?
It's not for them. It's not for them. You know, if I find someone that says that they're not financially secure,
Yeah.
they make less than 25 grand a year, then I don't think lending out your money is the right thing to do.
They're not at a place where they should be doing it.
Exactly.
They should be making more money themselves.
Exactly.
Right.
So I have to ask those questions to obviously protect myself as the mortgage agent and also protect our company and my mortgage brokerage and make sure that we're doing the right things.
Right. Okay. So now on the other side of this coin, so we're building this list and you're qualifying all these people and you've got a list of hundreds of people that are qualified now. And then on the other side of the coin in the syndicate, we are the only real estate mastermind group in Canada that has a Felicia, that has a mortgage broker and has this list. So we offer all of the people that are in the syndicate the chance to get financing arranged up to 100%, even beyond that for renovations and stuff.
Correct.
What are some of the things, now that you've seen a couple of these lenders packages and you've gotten a chance to meet some of the people that are doing this stuff, when you look at the lenders package and you look at the people you're talking to, what are some of the things you're looking for? Like the experience of the person, the documents in the package. When you see these deals, you're going to get a feeling in your gut. You're going to say, oh yeah, this one's going to be easy to do.
Yeah.
What are the things you need to see for that feeling?
In terms of the borrower, I'm looking to make sure that the property that they purchase is in an ideal location. I'm always thinking like a bank, like a lender.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if it's in a populated area, if it's just cosmetic concerns, that's okay. But I want to make sure there's no like severe structural issues with the property. Also issues like, you know, the history of the property, making sure it wasn't used for drugs or anything illegal like that. So we're just always looking for marketability of that property.
And resale too, right? Like, 'cause
Exactly.
It's interesting. I don't think a lot of people would realize that as a mortgage broker, when asked that question, the first thing you're saying is the property. Like making sure it's a suitable property to do this with. So, and it's something I hope everybody that sees this podcast is taking note of, that because it's really consistent with what we tell people about when they're choosing properties, right? Like there's an old saying that I use with all of our investors. I say, never get into a deal unless you know you can get out of it. What that actually means when it comes to the property is location, location, location. Make sure if you're doing a flip or you're doing a rental, it doesn't matter. Make sure it's in a desirable area. Make sure it's close to transit. Make sure it's close to schools for young kids. Make sure it's close to convenience stores and grocery stores. To be honest with you, I was really surprised that the very first thing you said wasn't really so much even about the lender.
No.
Because I guess the other side of the coin is if it's a great property and you can see the exitability of it and everything, it probably speaks to the smart, like how smart the investor is, right? The applicant, because they chose that property.
We look, at least in the bank's eyes, we look at the property first and then we look at the borrower second.
Yeah.
So in the bank's eyes, we always want to make sure that no matter what, if the borrower defaults, that the property is able to be resold and we can get back our money.
Yeah, totally. Well, the other thing is, like when we're doing these deals, where we're different than banks, is we're not asking for proof of income and we're not really asking about credit so much.
Right.
So much more of that deal has to be weighted on the property in question, right?
Exactly.
The property that they're doing.
Yep.
What happens when somebody comes to you, just like a little bit behind the scenes about the process? So you have all these lenders, somebody comes to you and they need money for a mortgage. Walk me through the process that you're using from that first conversation you have with that investor and getting their package to funding the deal. What happens on your side of the table?
So if we're doing like 100% financing, the first thing I'm going to do is secure a first lender to about maybe 70-75% loan to value. Unfortunately though, when I'm looking for the first mortgage, I am going to have to go to a institutional, like a regular private MIC.
Yeah, which is cheaper money too, right?
Yeah, it is. But some of them may ask for bank statements or
credit.
Credit. So stuff like that. When it comes to the second and third, obviously we don't need to provide those things. It really just comes down to the property itself.
Right, totally. All right, does anybody have any questions for Felicia now that we're sitting together about deals you're doing or mortgages that you need or anything that she said or I've said?
For a court-ordered sale, if you put a bid in on one of them, how would that go about for financing?
Obviously, with a court order, like if it's foreclosure, you might get it cheaper, right? Yes. But it's the same sort of process in financing.
Yeah, you still like there might be some nuances to like depending on where you're getting that property from. If it's a court or maybe it's a bank foreclosure, which is kind of still the same type of scenario, that court or that bank might have specific conditions that they put into the deal, which is really out of the hands of the mortgage broker. You know, you would come to the mortgage broker with understanding those conditions, but it's going to be the same thing. And that's, you know, there's another side to this too that's not so much about mortgage brokers and getting the deals done, but it's about the competence of the investor. And it's the enthusiasm or the passion or the excitement that people get about some of these deals. Never, ever, ever get emotional about real estate. Don't ever get excited about the project. Like I've seen people that are new to real estate that find a court-ordered sale or a foreclosure, and all they hear is it's a foreclosure. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to be amazing. I got to get it. But if somebody's foreclosing on a property, there's probably some reason that the foreclosure happened, and sometimes that reason can be related to the real estate itself. So you want to make sure that if you're going to succeed in real estate, you never get emotional about these properties. You have to look at it in black and white. If the numbers work, pursue it. Like here's the thing. If you ever find a real estate deal to do and the deal is wonky, meaning there's something weird about it, walk away from it. Sometimes people will see that, oh my God, this price is 200 grand cheaper than houses around it, but it's maybe because there's a swimming pool in the basement. And new real estate investors will just get so excited about how cheap it is that they'll look past obvious concerns why you shouldn't do it. The moral of the story is don't ever get emotionally attached to real estate. Do real estate based on the numbers. Do real estate based on the things that Felicia was just talking about, the location.
How much time should you allow yourself once you see the property that you want to the time that you have to foreclose on?
Yeah, that's a good question. So like if a real estate investor is coming to you with a deal, for it to be easy for you to do and get them the money, because that's what they should be thinking about when they're arranging and negotiating a closing date. What's the perfect time frame for you that you know you can get most deals done?
I was kind of touching on this earlier. I think it also depends on the property. So if it's a residential property, we can go through things a lot faster. If it's commercial, obviously that takes a lot longer and I need a lot more time.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are intertwined with commercial. The appraisal takes a lot longer. Appraisal versus residential, you can get that done in a couple of days. Commercial appraisals can take weeks. I would prefer, if you're shopping around for a property and you really like this property, either put a condition on financing first, and so I can make sure that the property is going to get financed, or just send me the property ahead of time and then I can work the numbers beforehand. Then you don't have to put that condition in there. Ideally, I'll need about 90 days so I can get the financing in order. However, if it's a rush or anything like that, then obviously the interest rate will be a little bit higher, but you know, I can still get it done.
Yeah, I like this idea of 90 days. And we were talking about this in the office and it made total sense to me because it's time is equal to the interest rate, right?
Yes.
So like if somebody gives you a deal and you've got 90 days before closing, then you can shop it around and
Yes.
you can argue with the lenders. And I've seen you do that for the guys and girls in the syndicate, and which means you can find a lower interest rate.
Yes.
But if somebody comes to you and they only give you a month to do this, then you're going to be scrambling just trying to find somebody to do it, which means a higher interest rate.
Correct.
So again, this leads back to the emotions of the person that's doing the deal. If they're all emotional about it and they say, oh, I got to get this deal, there's a lot of competition, so I offered 30 days, they're only hurting themselves.
Yes.
Whereas if you don't get emotional about it and you say, I need 90 days to close this thing, they bring it to you with 90 days, then you can take the time to shop it around. I've heard you arguing with lenders to get better interest rates. Mm-hmm. It ends up being a better deal for them.
It does.
That's crazy.
For multifamily, where does it turn into commercial? How many units?
So anything over 4 units, 5 and up, will be commercial. 4 and under is residential. But you're also going to have to make sure that the zoning complies to residential as well, right?
What are some other things, if we talk about like the difference between residential real estate and commercial real estate, what are some of the other things that you've seen as a mortgage broker when it comes to doing those two different types of real estate?
The interest rate is completely different. Commercial, the rate is a lot higher. The fees involved are a lot higher. Even if we do an A deal on commercial, it comes with a fee. Versus a residential, if it's an A deal, there's no fees. If it's a B or C, obviously, you know, there's fees involved, but there are a lot less on the commercial side. Residential as well is very fast. It doesn't take as long. Commercial will take much longer.
Yeah, we just arranged a $17 million mortgage for the Hay Bay Resort. And the lenders told us right up front the biggest reason they're doing this deal is because we put $10 million into it. It's a $26 million project, which means they're only at 60% loan to value, right? Yes. So that we put 40% into it. Mm-hmm. Yes. Because you have to understand, commercial, like when you're thinking about these two different types of real estate, residential real estate and commercial real estate, commercial is a lot more risky from every perspective. Banks love to give you money to buy your primary residence, your house.
Yes.
Because you're not going to avoid paying the mortgage payment on the place you live. But if money gets tight and you own a strip mall down the street and you only have enough money to either pay your mortgage on your house or the mortgage on the strip mall, which one are you going to pay? Right. And so that real estate, that commercial real estate, everybody realizes that. So the rates are going to be higher and they're going to want to see that you have more into the deal. If you bought a strip mall for $4 million and you put $1 million in it, the bank knows that person doesn't want to lose their $1 million. They're going to make their payments. Mm-hmm. I guess the world of mortgages and arranging financing is a deep world, and there's a lot to it. So the overall advice is to anybody that's doing this stuff is the more time you give us to arrange financing, the better it's going to be for you in the end.
Absolutely. And I think also, like I was saying, is no matter what deal you do, you're always going to want to do your homework before you place that offer, and just make sure that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, you've run the numbers, everything makes sense, and then you place the offer.
So the numbers are important?
Absolutely.
I think we've heard that before. So when you're looking at any real estate deal, the more time you take to do the math up front and understand the numbers, the better the deal is that looks to you in paper, the better it's going to be for the mortgage broker as well. And you've heard me in other podcasts say, I don't care about interest rates. I only write deals so that my deals will make me money, even if I'm paying 15%. So what that means is the spreads are better, the lift is better. Yeah, I have to look at more properties to find a deal like this, but if I find a deal like that because I've looked harder and I've stayed patient, when I take that deal, put it into a package, give it to the mortgage broker, it's a better deal for her to work with as well.
Yes, it is.
All right, friends, that's it for today. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment in the notes, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you on the next episode of the No Money Real Estate Podcast.